Hi, have you used Azure for your data pipelines before, or do you want to use it? So stick with me till the end of this video where we create an industry standard data engineering pipeline in Azure Cloud, where we'll be using to get data from an ingestion source, from a HTTP source, all the way to serving and processing the data using Databricks. Other tools that we'll be using is the ADF and the lake service. We'll also be doing a comparison of these Azure services to AWS services. This is a video that you want to stick till the end to have an understanding of how also to implement security and budgeting. So stick with me till the end. Let's get into the architecture of this pipeline. Yeah, so let's kick off this project. So as you have seen, this is Azure. So let's look at the architecture. I want us to look at the architecture first and see what we'll be doing. So yeah, this is the project that we'll be doing. So if I may enlarge this, so we'll be getting data from GitHub. So this is the source. Just circle it, and then I'll be ingesting the data using ADF. Yeah, so and then to an ADLS Gen 2. Yeah, so now this will have our raw data. No, it's writing, and then we'll be using Databricks. Yeah, so Databricks, I'll be transforming the data. I'll be doing some cleaning. I'll be doing very good transformations. Well, yeah, I'll be doing transformation. Of course, in here we'll be using Spark or PySpark or Spark SQL. I'll combine both, and then I will load the data to a cleaned ADLS Gen 2 container storage in my main container folder, where I'll be having the raw and the cleaned data, and then from there I just connect to Synapse Analytics for analytics, and from there you can connect that to Power BI for analysis. So this part is mainly done by the analyst. Yeah, so yeah, so this is the entire overview of the project, and if we may, we can get into the project. Yeah, so this is Azure. This is storage account. If you may go back to the home page. So this is the home page. So what do? Just click here and you come to storage account, and it's here. And yeah, the difference between the ADLS Gen 2 and blob storage is that when you have ADLS Gen 2, you include hierarchical namespace, and you can be able to put in containers in one storage container. When you have not enabled the hierarchical namespace, becomes the Azure blob storage. So we create storage account. Yeah, so that's my subscription. So we'll have to create a new resource group. Yeah, so let's create one, just a random name. Yeah, in storage account name have sales. Sales. Sales data. Okay, it has to be unique. Remember, this also similar to this S3 storage, has to be unique. So is the so now here it be standard, and here this is the only setting that you need to put hierarchical namespace. Okay, and you can review and create. You don't need even to look at this. Every other thing is done for you. Yeah, so depending now on your Wi-Fi speed. Yeah, depending on Wi-Fi speed, now it will create for you a storage account. So we'll wait and we'll push to until it creates. So I'll come here to containers, and I'll add one. I'll name it sales. Yeah, so it's creating, and id sales. I'll come and add directory. So the name will be raw and clean. Raw, and then a directory clean. So in one, as you can already start uh, guessing, one we have the raw, we'll have the raw data, and then the other one will have the clean data. Yeah, so now here is we are done. So we come to data factory for the ADF. Data factories, open another tab, a new tab. Yeah. Yeah, so depending on your Wi-Fi, the speed will vary. Yeah, so create data factory. So resource group done that we have created. Yeah, so we give it a name. So what do we give it? So sales. We give it sales. Yeah. No, it's taken. So the region is East US. Yeah. So solid sales, sales data factory, and let me say the taken. So we have git configurations, good, public endpoint, advanced. So here we have no other we create, so we just create, and it will start initializing the creating button and submit. So I think if I may take you to the data, let's see the data as it's creating. So get my GitHub, but I link this in the description of the video. So this is my GitHub. So repositories, I have this Azure. So yeah, so this is the data we'll be having. Yeah, so this is the data that I'm going to be moving from the ADLS Gen 2 to the Azure Synapse Analytics, doing some transformation. Yeah, so the UI, the HTTP link, just have to get the raw format. This will be the link, by the way. So yeah, so it's as succeeded. You can see that. So you can go to resource. Yeah, yeah. So we can launch the studio, and what you'll be creating two linked services, one from the ADLS Gen 2 to here, one from the cloud to the ADF, and the other one from the ADF to the ADLS Gen 2. Yeah, so let it load. Yeah, so you have the home, all that here. So you create the pipeline, have monitor, you manage, learning center. So you can come here to the other to ingest our data, pipelines, new pipeline. Yeah, so just you can name it to ingest data. That's ingest data. Yeah, so these are other tools that we have. Yeah, so you have a pipeline, and you have other these that you use are mainly for advanced, where you have parameterized pipelines, but this is a simple pipeline, and so we won't be using them. Yeah, so we have move transforms in apps, the other one for data bricks, and you have a parameterized pipeline. Yeah, yeah. So what we have what we want is copy data. Yeah, from our data source to our sink. Yeah, I've shown you this the link, and when I want to copy it. Yeah, so yeah, and was new. Yeah, so this also is HTTP. Yeah, so HTTP. Okay, so what is our data format? We don't have a lot of data, so let's just say delimited. Yeah, so linked service. Let's create. So do you need to name it? No. And we'll give the base URL to this. Then authentication type will have anonymous, and then you're going to test connection. Yeah, and it's good. So the connection was successful. So create. Yeah, and make sure that the first row is header. Yeah, and this is none, and then this create. So we have created the source. So the sink we come, although we could have previewed this. You see, we have this. So let's preview the data. So you can see this the data that was there. All this. Yeah. So you can see our source is good. So the sink, create a new one, and it's to ADLS. And to, yeah, so that this is CSV file. So linked services, create new. Yeah, so you can have Azure subscription, this is that. And really don't have any storage account name, sales data. Yeah, and it has loaded that. Yeah, so test connection to the linked service and to file path. Yeah, so we'll test this and we create. So it's successful. Create. Then you can set the path. Sales. We have the sales and the row. Okay, and then we'll have name sales.csv. Yeah, so okay, so the schema. Okay, so the schema is none, and we'll validate, then debug. So it's still queued. Yeah, succeeded. So if we can come back to our ADLS Gen 2 row, we should have sales.csv. So we have, so if you can come back, so we have already gotten our data from the source. We have ingested using ADF, and now our data is here. So we're just going to connect to an Azure cluster and do the transformation on the data. Yeah, so let's get right into it. So we have Azure Databricks. So open link on new tab. Yeah, so I've had some going on, so we can create one. So yeah, enter name, so YouTube. Yeah, UK South. Yeah, so use this premium tier when, so there are other tiers. So you have the trial, and in the trial you're not going to be able to create a compute cluster on which it will run on. So create the premium. So we have this, the resource group created. Remember, you have YouTube, so networking, encryption, review and create. Yeah, so create. As you can see, our Databricks is created. So you can go to launch workspace. Since signing in an Azure account, we have already done it. Signing into Azure Databricks is easy. So we need to create a compute cluster on which our Databricks instance should be running on. So you can create compute. Yeah, so we have the multi-node and the single node. So with these different costs come, so we're just going to be using the single node. Yeah, so the runtime, let's change it to 12.2. Yeah, and this you're going to change it to the 14 GB memory. 14 GB memory does that. And remember, to the photon acceleration, we are going to deactivate it. Yeah, so we are going to create compute. So we are going to be creating the cluster. So it might take some time. So let me pause the video and we'll come back when we create it. Yeah, so our cluster is up and running. So you can see the state. The state is cluster running. Yeah, so you can go to notebook and notebook. Yeah, so connect to that. Yeah, and so we are going to be connecting to this data. So we are going to be using some configuration. Yeah, so this is the code that you're going to be having to configure the Azure Databricks to our data that is, remember, our data is in the ADLS Gen 2. Yeah, so yeah, so this is the authentication. So we have the client ID, and we have the secret key, and we have the endpoint of this. So to get the details, just need to go to our app registration, app registration. Yeah, and so I have one. This is the app, so you can just create a new one. So let's create, just name it app 2 and register. Yeah, so here is the tenant ID. We're going to require this, and you're going to require the client ID. So if you're wondering where I've gotten this data, yeah, that's where I've gotten the client ID and the tenant ID. So in here, the client ID, and yeah, this the end type. Yeah, so for the secret, you can just do our app certificates and secrets, and add a new secret. So let's name it so app also. So add. So this is the value that you're going to be copying to the secret here. So let's configure this and see if it makes connection. I'm going to be making some few changes. So this is the YouTube sales. Yeah, so this is the first code that you're going to be running. So we need to the mount, and this is the credentials, and we're going to be creating a connection to our YouTube sales. This is the name of the ADLS Gen 2 or our data lake, and this is our container name. So the sales name. So as you can see, it has made a connection and it's good to go. So you can to add a new code is just be below. So and if you want one above, is just pressing above. So and so let's look at the data. So so you can see that we have gotten the directory of the data. So you're going to be reading the data from this raw file. Yeah, so this is code that I've already written to ensure that this video is not that long, and this data or this file will be available in GitHub. I'm providing the link to that. So want to read the data, and successful. So remember that you're using PySpark, so we don't use, so if we are using Python, we will have gone for the df.head, but here we have the spark.show. So you're going to be seeing the columns. So the data, we have the invoice ID, branch, city, column, customer type, gender, product line, unit price, quantity, the tax, the total, date, time, payment, COGS, gross margin percentage, gross income, and the rating. Yeah, so you're going to be doing some transformation. This the gross income. I want to drop it. So the gross income has this 26.1415, and it's this 26.1415, the tax percentage. Yeah, so I want to drop the column, and this is the code to do that. So in the print schema, and you can see that it does not exist. So the other one, I want to change the column names. So you can see that the invoice ID is a string. That's good. Branch string, city string, type is a string, gender is a string, line is a string, product unit price string. No, it should be a float or an integer. The quantity, it cannot be 7.5 quantity, so this must be an integer. So the other one, tax 5% is a float, total float. Date, we have to convert it to a date type. Yeah, and the payment, this is a string. The cogs, that's a float. The gross margin, this will be a float. And also the rating has to be a float. So let's do those transformations. Yeah, done this transformation, and you can see we have changed the types. So also need to look for missing data. So you have missing data. Remember that the data will always guide you on how to deal with null values. So if we have so many null values, we look at the distribution of the data. So if you can fill the data using the mean without causing a skewing of the data, then we do that. If we have some very few amounts of data that contains missing values, then we can go ahead and drop it. We can be sure to some extent that it does not have so many consequences on changing. Yeah, so yeah, so you look for missing values. Yeah, so yeah, so you can see that our data does not have any nulls. Yeah, and so from this one, we want to name the gross margin percentage and drop it, and we have the tax percentage. Yeah, so we drop the old column and be left with this new percentage. We are basically renaming the column. Just that, just renaming the column. So if you can come and look at the let's print schema and look if we have if you have if you have the name. So let's say sales dot print schema. So you have to open and close in parentheses. So you can see that you don't have the gross margin percentage, you have the tax percentage. So it's basically for ease to understand. Yeah, changing the column name. So the other one is I want to do a basic transformation where I want the ratings. So I want to rank the rating of the products. So if our rating is 8.5 and above, we have to rank it as best. So if we have it from 6 to 8.5, we have average, and below 6 we want to rate it as poor. So this is basically if you are using DBT, this would use a case function where we'll use when, and basically does that very easy if you're using DBT. But since you're using PySpark, it's even faster to write the code and easier. So let's see if changes have been made. So we have so let's see. So we have poor, we have best, we have poor, we have poor 4.8, we have average, we have sorry, we have Best, you have 8.6, you have poor 4.4, and then average, you have it at 6.9, you have poor 4.6. Yeah, so it has ranked. Well, we have 8.2 is average. Yeah, so you can see it has created sort of a case statement. Yeah, so the other transformation that we have is the date type. Remember that our date type is it's a string, so we need to convert it date type. So if you want the data analysts to do the count of sales per month, per year, and you won't give them data that has a date in string format, yeah, they'll be forced then to go and use Excel to change this, or use Python to do this. But it's simply your work to ensure that the data quality is up to the standards. Yeah, so run this, so and you can see the date is a date type. So remember, if you want to use SQL and your data has data type that is string, it will have some issues. You will not be able to do the computation well. So you can run this, so you can see. Yeah, so you can see that we have written our data to our YouTube sales containers, and the clean container. You can see that we have our data here. So this is the data. So synapse analytics, and I want to open in a new tab. Yeah, so you can come and create, and yeah, so resource group YouTube, workspace name YouTube, and the region UK South. YouTube name is not available, so February, very unique. So I hope it's available. It's available. So we have the YouTube sales and sales, so file system sales. Yeah, so we have to select the DLS Gen 2, and next security, next, and review and create. Yeah, so you can see that our deployment is complete, and you can go to resource group. So in this resource group, you can see all the things that you have created. The first one is Databricks, and this is the Azure Synapse Analytics. This is the storage account, ADLS Gen 2, and this is the data factory. So just looking at the symbols, you can be able to tell which tool is which. So let's open to the Azure Synapse Analytics and open the studio. Yeah, so we have some things. So the data. So remember, there are so many ways to create pipelines in Azure. Azure has so many capabilities. And as you have said, that the Azure Synapse Analytics can be able to perform the roles of the data factory with ease. It can perform them, it can ingest, it can use Spark Pool and data flows to connect from data sources or data sources in Azure that are concerned with data engineering. Yeah, and so it does a very fast job. So it can also do analysis. So if you look at what it's defined as the data warehouse, but it has so many capabilities. Yeah, so you can come workspace, so add data like base. So okay, so let's name our database as sales data. Sales data. And so description now. So you have this. So you add a table, data lake. So the table is sales, and linked service is this. So input file folder. We have this, and have the clean data. We have this. That is our data that we're going to be using. So you can continue into the detecting file type and validating. It's previewing the data. So with faster internet, the speeds can be fast. With slower internet, the speeds can be slow. So we are going to infer the first row. It has to be the column names. So yeah, and basically everything else we leave it where it is. And so it has inferred a schema. So yeah, so you can look at the columns. We have a challenge. So this is something that we did not fix, but you can fix it right here. So the column names. So need to ensure that there's not this spacing. So use an underscore and the error just error just it ends. So yeah, remember now this will be the new naming of the columns. This will be the new names of the columns that you are putting in with these underscores. Yeah, so tax 5%. Yeah, so yeah, so I think we have no other column that has an issue. Yeah, you can see that you have another column that has an issue, so you can collapse this and you can validate. And your workspace has been validated, and let's publish. Let's see, it should detect. So go to our table sales. So this is the sales data, and we should be able to view data. So database, data database, remember sales data, yeah, built in. So let's run. Yeah, and so we have our data. So we have the clean data. Remember even the ratings that we added, and the columns that we dropped, and the transformation that we did on the date column, and also the data types. Yeah, remember, even if we would not have done the transformation of data types in Databricks, when we are detecting the schema, we could have changed the data types. Yeah, I hope you have seen that. So we can get to some analysis, some just the analysis that I have already written the code, and this code it will be available on GitHub. So here is the yeah, so we're going to be doing some very few analysis on this data on this data warehouse. Remember that now we have come to the end of our pipeline, but we want to look at some analysis, some basic writing of the code. And since I've already written this data down, I'll just be explaining what I've done. And so we are going to be looking at the branches. So we have these branches, and we're going to be looking at the gender, the male and the female, who are bringing more money or who are consuming our products in each branch. So in our products, the male bring more money, the female, and we can run this code. Name. So we have, yeah, so you have the data. So in in so we also have the total. So we have ranked with the total. Yeah, and basically we can see that our C has the most sales, and we can see that when we look at C, we have the female have more sales than the male, and B, the female also has more than the male, and in A, which contributes to our lowest sales, the male has more to the female. So we can look. So is what is causing this? Is this region demographically, do you have more males than female, or do you have more females than male? So yeah, so that's a question that the analysts answer looking at the demographic data and try to understand the patterns. Why is this data this way? Why are the sales this way? Yeah, so we are going to be also, so we're going to be looking at the product line per gender. So we are going in a product line, which is the most sought product, the product that is most sought in by gender, by each gender. So which one do we need to add more? Which one is making more sales? Yeah, so we have sales. Yeah, so you can see that when we look at the sports and travel, the male and the female. So the sports and travel, as you can see, the female does better. The electronic, the male do better. The fashion, the female do better. The health and beauty, the male do better. Now that's interesting. Beauty. So home and lifestyle, the female do better. So is this the general approach? Is this what happens in real life? So of course, sometimes the data may not represent what ideally happens in real life. And that's where the data analysis comes in. And you need to look, why is this contributing to this? Why is this shift? Yeah. So the other one, you're going to be looking at the customer type. So we have different customer types, and you're going to be looking who contribute more. So is it a member, or is it someone who is not a member of a store? So by this, mostly helps to look at, is it new customers that, so let's just look at it. So the normal and the member. So I've done the average of the totals, the total sales. So the average, the member has 327. Ideally, that should be the case, and the normal type of customer has slightly lower. Yeah, so payment totals, I'm going to look at the type of payment, which type of payment is has more sales. Yeah, so the e-wallet has lower, so the cash, oh sorry, I have not ordered, so let's order by totals. Yeah, so we order by total. So we have the cash does more, so the credit card, and then the e-wallet. So the cash does more in terms of sales. People who come to our store buy with cash. Yeah, so that's some simple analysis that we have done on this data that's already in our data warehouse. And so that brings us to the end of our data warehouse. You have seen the pipeline. We started from creating the data from GitHub. We got the data from ADF. We got the data into data lake, and then we transformed the data, and then we loaded the data into another data lake. Yeah, or rather this was the same data lake but in a new container with a new directory, and then we loaded the data to Synapse. Yeah, and so now this is industry data that it's clean, and we have seen that you can do great analysis with it. And so you just need to pass the data to, or connect the data to the Power BI account. Remember, Power BI also uses is a Microsoft service. You just need to connect it to Power BI and for the analysts to create the visuals. Yeah, so that brings us to the end of this amazing project. Yeah, I hope you have learned a lot above everything else and understood the basic tools of Azure and how they work. Yeah, so till next time, see you then, bye.